Professor Charles Postel of San Francisco State University visited Berlin to talk on the origins and motivations of the Tea Party movement. Over 100 people accepted the invitation. Afterwards, he talked to us.
I think if you, in the long term, the way to think of the history of the Tea Party movement is in the long ideological conflict within the Republican Party. We don't pay enough attention to that, but back 50 years ago, the Republican Party was sharply divided between a moderate wing or a progressive wing and a very conservative wing. And that struggle has been going on, and a lot of us haven't paid attention to it or known about it, but that's really where the Tea Party energy comes from. This is the hard right wing of the Republican Party that is now gaining ascendancy within that party. Well, I think the Tea Party has reset the agenda of the Republican Party. Take the question of taxes. All Republicans for the last 100 years have been able to compromise over tax rates, and they go back and forth with the Democrats about the level of taxation. And that's part of the give and take of American politics. Well, today's Republican Party, with Tea Party, partly because of Tea Party energy, has all signed the Grover Norquist pledge to never raise taxes under any circumstances for life, which makes this is a different Republican Party. This is not one as prone to the give and takes of politics as we know it, and is pretty dug in ideologically in a way that we haven't seen before. Well, I think one interesting thing is there's a certain crossover between Occupy Wall Street movement and the Tea Party movement in the libertarian sense. There are libertarians in both, the Ron Paul type people who want to abolish the Federal Reserve and things of that nature. But really they're very different movements. The concerns of Occupy have to do with inequality of incomes in America, the gaping chasm between rich and poor. They're very concerned with the regulation of banking and the role of the banks in the financial crisis. These are not issues that interest the Tea Party in the same way. I mean, the Tea Party is very much for tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans as something that's positive for the economy. They're very much against any type of banking regulation as a violation of the freedom of the marketplace. The other really big difference is Occupy is showing no particular interest in party politics. There's no correlation with the Democratic Party in that way. There's surely not people who are caucusing, an Occupy caucus in the Democratic Party. I don't see that happening. A lot of the activists are younger. They're not particularly interested in politics in that way. At the same time, I think it's been very important in setting the agenda of the Democratic Party, in the sense that Democrats realize that Occupy's slogans and issues of inequality and regulation of banking and these issues are strike a chord in the American electorate. And I think you've seen that in President Obama's speeches recently, and I think the issues of income inequality, whether or not rich people should pay more taxes, these things are going to be very big issues, I think, in the upcoming elections. Well, I think the future may have already been written. It was a movement very much demonstrating, making a lot of noise at political rallies and so forth. Perhaps we've already seen the evolution of the Tea Party into more of a more conventional political movement, deeply involved in the work of caucusing and developing candidates within the Republican Party. And I think that's its future. And the question is, it's been very successful at pushing its agenda onto the Republican Party and making it the agenda of the Republican Party. But in the process, have they also been eaten up by the mundane workings of a political party? And so I'm not sure which. I think that's we're seeing right now, that evolution.